Hey everybody, I'm Alan Dyck. I will be your host for this wonderful podcast on my 16-day cleanse. Time to trust the Dyck. So, I want to talk about the most important thing that I offer off the beginning. And the reason why I say that is, I've been doing this for 21 years, and to go ahead and find something that hooks people, gets people excited, and has people feel differently instantly is a big deal for me. And so, I'm not one of those trainers that says, okay, we're going to notice changes after 3 months. We're going to notice changes after 6 months. I want them now. I want them yesterday. And so does everybody else. Now, I will say that, extreme crash diets and extreme those aren't beneficial for you, because if it comes on fast, it can go away fast. The reason why I want to talk about my 16-day cleanse and why I start off with it is because it works so well and it transitions into where we're going to go for the next nutrition plan. So, I don't care if you're 100 pounds or 700 pounds. Every single person I take on goes through my 16-day cleanse. It is a cleanse designed to go ahead and reset your system to allow you to absorb whole foods that you're supposed to absorb. It is a cleanse that is built for you to go ahead and understand, eating at specific times. I would say a large majority of my clients do not eat consistently. They might have a coffee for breakfast and they might have dinner. That is not good, but there's a reason why. And I'm going to explain that stuff to you. So when it comes to my 16-day cleanse, it's breakfast, it's lunch, and it's dinner. That is it. There's 3 meals a day. I will say that, what I incorporate and how I run my stuff is my very first meal is at 6 o'clock and my last meal is at 6 p.m. That way I give my body a full 12 hours to fast and to burn off the extra calories that I need to, so I wake up hungry and ready to go again. So I incorporate that into my 16-day cleanse so the individual gets into that routine already. So day 1 and 2 are very similar. A lot of fruits and vegetables, very little water. The reason why I do this is because when you go ahead and you consume very little water, the food you're consuming is allowed to stay in your system longer. So it'll go ahead and rid your system of any kind of stuff that doesn't need to be there. Now, I will say this is not a cleanse that's going to make you shit your pants, okay? You're going to pee a ton because there's not a lot of starchy carbs, not of like complex carbs and stuff like that in there. Those will come later. But what I'm trying to do is draw as much water and bloating from your system as possible to give you more clarity. Like I said, the very first 2 days, a lot of fruits, vegetables, that kind of stuff. Cleans your system out, 500 mils of water, nothing crazy. You will get a headache. That comes from a lot of people are addicted to coffee. A lot of people are addicted to stimulants. And those first 2 days are really challenging, but it's very, very worth it if you can get through them. Like I said, in 21 years, I've had maybe 7 people not be able to go ahead and finish this to the full extent of the 16 days. After that, the next 14 days, basically what you're doing is you're consuming very little amounts of protein, enough to go ahead and still sustain muscle, but not enough to go ahead and build muscle. So for a lot of the guys that take my plan, they're like, okay, well, I'm not consuming 1 gram of protein per body pound. Well, if you think like this, the average male puts on 4 to 5 pounds of muscle in an entire year. Now, if you divide that up over 12, you can see why the 16 days shouldn't matter that much on the grand scheme of things. So back to the cleanse. Breakfast, you've got grapefruit. Grapefruit's really good. It's really acidic. So what it'll go ahead and do, especially in the morning, is burn any kind of stored fat you have in your system. You still have got eggs, you've got whole foods, you've got that kind of stuff. And once again, like I said in the very beginning, it doesn't have a lot of like complex carbs and starchy carbs. That way your body will go ahead and draw more water. For the last 14 days, you're allowed to consume up to 2 liters of water. And the reason why I do this is because after this is done, I will give you 4 liters. So I cut it in half. Now I will explain to you why. When you consume food, the body needs water to metabolize the food. When you go ahead and cut your water in half, the food you're consuming needs that water still, but because there's less in the system, it'll draw more from your system to metabolize that food, which in turn draws more water out of your system and it takes care of any extra bloating and water retention that you do have. A lot of the foods on there will go ahead and take care of like any inflammatory responses or any kind of stress that your body has. Because what happens is when you go ahead and consume foods that aren't necessarily conducive to your body, they can cause a lot of inflammation, especially in your joints and that kind of stuff. And it causes a lot of stress. So where we're going after the 16-day cleanse is done, usually I do it based on your blood type, will allow me to know which foods to give you that are going to react best with your body and where we're going. When we're doing the cleanse, it's a lot of lean meats, a lot of fish, protein, eggs, vegetables. Nothing is steamed. Everything is raw. And I've been competitive bodybuilding for about 21 years now. And so when I went ahead and did this, I put together stuff that I knew worked and that would draw more water and go ahead and get you a faster result within those 16 days or 2 weeks towards the end. Like I do with a lot of my competitors for bodybuilding shows, the last 2 weeks are the most important because you want to look your ultimate best. So I incorporated a lot of stuff into that. I've got a lot of, plain chicken. Once again, any kind of dry chicken will go ahead and just take more water out of your system. Any kind of things like, red meat, it's got creatine in there. So it's natural creatine because I personally don't believe in taking creatine as a supplement. I'll put that on a later podcast because there's an actual reason why. There's very few individuals that actually go ahead and utilize creatine the way it's supposed to be done in the system. So other than that, it's just a waste of time and a waste of money. When it comes to the time period, it is very important to stick this. Like I religiously talk to every single client. I myself consume 6,800 calories a day. I will get all those calories in between 6 and 6. And why I do this is, once again, the body loves structure and routine. Once you can get stuck on a structure and a routine, it'll know exactly how to go ahead and drop weight. The body automatically wants to go ahead and, slow down when it gets closer into the evening because it's getting ready, winding down to go to bed. So that's why that 6 o'clock or 6 p.m. is such an important time to go ahead and cut off your food. Even for me, I have very few carbs that are left in and around 6 o'clock. So what happens is the body will go ahead and burn carbs, fat, and protein as an energy source. When you have very little carbs towards the end of the day because you don't need energy, you'll burn fat as an energy source while you're sleeping and then wake up and need to eat again because you've burned off the calories that were unwanted while you were sleeping. So I love going ahead and educating because, if I can give somebody education and allow them to go ahead and make an educated decision on why these are affecting your body and how it's affecting your body, I'm winning. Okay. I'll never say to anybody, here's the plan just because I said so. Now go. I want you to understand why I'm doing everything I'm doing. With this cleanse, like I said before, it's an average now of like 17 to 18 pounds lost, and it's a huge kickstarter to where we're going. I will say that I have a workout attached to it for beginners, intermediate, and advanced. And it's up to you for how hard you want to push because you'll notice that you may or may not have a ton of energy during this cleanse. I don't expect people to go ahead and push as hard as they can based on the energy that they're not going to have. I do want people to go ahead and push as hard as they can possible because this next 16 days when they start is probably the most weight they're going to lose in such a short period of time during the entire process. I will say that I've had people go ahead and consume the cleanse back to back. Now, one would say, wow, okay, how much weight did they lose? You have to realize this. On the cleanse, it specifies how much to consume of something, and then there's meals that specify not to. So what happens is, for instance, it might say 3 eggs, and then the next meal might say chicken and toast. If it doesn't specify how much to consume of something, you can eat as much of it as you want. Because what I said in the beginning, it doesn't matter whether you're 100 pounds or 500 or 600 pounds. You're going to eat as much as you need at that time to get through your day. I will say in the past, I've had people go ahead and eat less, thinking they're going to go ahead and lose more weight. But once again, if you eat less, the body will get stressed out. There's a certain amount of calories the body is supposed to consume after these 16 days in order to not be stressed out and keep losing weight. It's my job to go ahead and give you those calories and that calorie total, because what happens is, like I just said, well, now those people went ahead and did the cleanse back to back, they end up gaining 5 pounds. The reason why is exactly what I just said. If someone goes ahead and does something for a short period of time, it's such a shock to the system that the system will go ahead and do what it's supposed to. But after the system realizes this is something that's going to happen on a lengthy basis or on a long-term basis, it'll actually take the calories it's consuming, which aren't a ton, and hold them as stored fat. It doesn't understand when it's going to eat again to get the right amount of calories to relax, not be stressed, and just to let go. So that's why the 16 days are so important. Right after that, you're going to be consuming 3 times the amount of food. And that's where a lot of women tell me to fuck myself, because it's like they're not used to consuming the calories they're supposed to. because most people, or, magazines, commercials, people, advertisements, Instagram, a lot of it is stating that, calorie in, calorie out. The less you eat, the more you lose. It's false. It's not right. You have to eat the right amount of calories for your body. And you have to make sure that I don't believe in calorie in, calorie out. I believe there's good calories and there are bad calories. So if you're going to consume good calories, make sure you consume the right amount. That's what I do. And then now your body will go ahead and release the calories or the bad fat that it doesn't need to be there in the first place. So like I said, it is the most important thing you're ever going to do when working with me. The results are insane. If it doesn't specify to have something, you don't consume it. It's pretty straightforward. The cleanse comes with its own grocery list, so you don't even have to think. Once you get it, you just go grocery shopping. I have a lot of people go ahead and tell me, okay, well, I add fresh lemon, or I added fresh lime, or I added no salt seasoning. No one's saying those are bad for you. They're actually great for you. But on the cleanse, it is a no-brainer. If it doesn't specify to do something, don't do it. If it doesn't say to add it, don't add it. If it doesn't specify how much to consume of something, have one of it or have 30 of it. But don't go ahead and try to rewrite the book. A lot of people will say, well, I'm not used to coffee because coffee is on the plan. It's 2 weeks. Anybody can drink coffee for 2 weeks. Now, if you want to go to decaf, that's totally your prerogative, especially in the evening when there's coffee in there. If it says coffee at your meal, have decaf coffee so then it doesn't keep you up. But don't go ahead and alter something to try and hope you get the same result, because I've already done this. I've done this for 21 years. I haven't altered or changed or whatever, because if it isn't broke, don't fix it. So when I go ahead and help somebody and give this to somebody, follow it to the letter and trust the process, or trust Dick. I want people to realize that when you trust somebody, you can relinquish that uncertainty of, is this going to work? You know what? Do I go all in? Is it worth it? Is it this? I know that there's been a ton of people in the past that have had different trainers and have had different people helping them, and they may or may not have got good advice, bad advice, this and that. I've been doing the same thing for 21 years and I haven't deviated once. I haven't looked at YouTube. I haven't, looked at new fads or new diets or new this or new that. I have done the same thing. Whole foods, understand what to consume, and understand what you're putting in your body. If you don't recognize wording on the back of something, don't consume it. It's very important, because nowadays, there's so many half calories this, half that, diet this, diet that. There are so many different things that are gone on in that food, to other chemicals or aspartame or all these different things to get it down in lower calories. And a lot of people will think, the lower calorie they consume, the better it is. It's false. The body loves whole foods. The body recognizes sugars, natural sugars, and it knows how to utilize it and knows what to do with it. When the body consumes any form of a chemical or a diet this or a diet that, it's foreign to the body. So it doesn't know how to go ahead, metabolize it, and get rid of it. It holds it as stored fat. And so that's what I like to teach as I'm doing this. So once again, you can understand why we're doing this. Like I said in the very beginning, the cleanse is absolutely amazing. I have done it myself. And like at any given time, I probably have 150 people doing this thing. The clarity you get from it and how you feel is ridiculous. I've had people after 3 days be able to come off their gout medication because now that inflammation is completely gone. I've had people lower their doses of blood pressure medication and that kind of stuff because now all of a sudden their body isn't stressed out because they're consuming what the body needs to go in the right direction. That is a big deal for me. And that's more important than the weight loss. Yeah, I'll say the average weight loss is what it is. But, the reason why I started this 21 years ago is to have people feel the way I do now and have something to compare it to. So I give you that option and I allow you to do that. And I swear, if you fail on the cleanse, I will come through this fucking mic or the phone and I will lose my mind because I know where each and every single person is going to go. And when you finish the cleanse, it's very important to me because it allows me to know that you're committed and, you're willing to take on the next step, which is more food, more variety, and to go in the right direction as long as we can and to be as sustainable as possible. Because the goal at the end of the day is to live a normal life where if you want to have a fucking glass of wine and enjoy a meal out with your partner, you can, because you've worked your ass off to get there. So my job is to get rid of the weight as fast as possible so we can live a normal, sustainable life, and everyone else will be jealous, asking you what you're doing. And you're going to be your own walking billboard, which makes me really happy. So I will say, I've had quite a few people in the past go ahead and say, what, this is extreme. It is, wow, I'm only consuming 3 meals a day, or it's, it's very little food or this and that. What I want to say to that is it's only 16 days. It's not forever. It's 3 meals a day. It allows you to realize what structure and routine is, because you know that, okay, I'm going to get up. I need to consume food 45 to 60 minutes after I've woken up, because if not, I'm going to burn muscle as an energy source. And that is very important. So getting in a routine of getting up, eating right away, which is, your grapefruit, your eggs, your coffee, your this and that. And then obviously you're waiting 2 or 3 hours before your next meal. Now, those people that say it's extreme, either their diets are insane, they eat very, very unhealthy, like I did. Like I said, breakfast, lunch, dinner, fast food. It was horrific. I loved Burger King. Like fries and tartar sauce are my favorite thing in the whole world. And so it's extreme for those people there, because we're trying to develop a new routine and a new habit. The new habit is understanding why we're eating, when we're eating, and to make sure it's a good routine. Once you get into that habit, I go ahead, and after those 16 days are done, so like I said, with the weight loss, people are like, well, how am I losing this much weight? It's because there's that much inflammation in your body. You have that much stress in your body because of the foods you're consuming. Some of the foods that people consume cause so much strain and stress in the body, they have no idea, because they just think this is normal. And so that's why, when they consume this food, the clarity and the way you feel is very different. And that's very addicting on its own, because that is the one thing that I love, because a lot of people will get, they have a lot of bloating, or they get headaches, or, they're inflamed all the time, or they've got rashes because of the food they consume. This takes care of all that and allows you to feel the way you're supposed to feel. And then once you do, it's game over. I will say that, going from, because I've had a couple clients that consume this and they were full. There's probably maybe 1,000 calories for these 16 days. So it's not a lot of calories, but that just goes to show me that person didn't consume as much food as they were supposed to. So this is a good thing, and once again, I have to educate as I do this for them to understand, because I said so. We're not going to get anywhere, and they're not going to learn anything. And so, you know what? I'm 42 right now. I want to teach as many people as possible that this is the way you're supposed to feel, and this is the direction we're going to go. Because when you start the other food that I give you, which is literally 3 times the amount, you literally feel like a rocket ship is in your ass, and you feel absolutely amazing. I want to add, is this hard? It's going from whatever you were doing before to something very new. And for a lot of my clients, the reason why they walk through the door, or the reason why they call me, is because they're not happy with where they are and they know they need a change. So I will say, for those people, this sometimes is extreme, but you have to realize how extreme and how bad for the body is where they are. If I'm that kind of person that's going to consume, fast food and candy because I need comfort, or in my stress, or whatever it is, or, I'm a smoker, or I do this, how bad, where would I be right now if I had carried on from when I was 23 years old? If I had carried on that path, I don't know if I'd even be here, because that's 20 years later. Given the fact that I was over 300 pounds, I don't know where I'd be right now. There'd be a ton of complications. I can't quite put my finger on it, but those 16 days are so much more beneficial to go in the right direction than where I was and where a lot of people are. But yes, it is drastic to those people, because a lot of people don't realize, the potential they have. And I will say mindset is huge when it comes to this, because if you can get through these 16 days, there's nothing you can't do. This will be the hardest thing that you do, and everything else will be a cakewalk. And I've learned a lot from Dan Martell, and just the things he says and how he makes you think are amazing. Like when I went to go ahead and do my talk in South Carolina, I was nervous. And he told me, you're not nervous, you're excited. You just don't know it. And for the first 2 or 3 minutes, I thought I was going to black out, but then I just went with it and I had fun. So, going back to trust the process, trust the Dyck, because I am here. I've already gone through it, and I can tell you what to expect and where you're going to go. And believe me, when you finally, make the switch to do this, will it be tough? Yes. Will you have a better understanding of what you're capable of handling during this? 100%. And there are going to be a lot of people that say, oh, this is stupid, or this and that. I will say, misery loves company, and the people that are saying that are the people not willing to be able to do it on their own. So when you go ahead and you finish this cleanse and you get through it, and all of a sudden you feel 1,000 times better and ready to take the next step, many people are going to be watching exactly what you're doing, saying, okay, maybe I should do this as well. So, I hope that's huge motivation for you. because like I said, I'm up to 6,500 people that have done the same thing and they all feel the same way. Not a single person hasn't. And you can do this as well. And remember, I'm here to go ahead and teach you how to feel and where you can go. And hopefully you trust me.